Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. We are back with our friend Christina Bell, who's also a licensed massage therapist, massage therapist, and also owner and operator of her own company called Spirit Hands Massage and Artistry, based out of Clear Lake, Iowa. She's back with us today to talk more about body posture, and of course, always such a pleasure to have you here. Always so kind, so helpful, and we had a great show last time. We opened up. We had like just a normal gal to gal conversation. I loved it. So thank you for that. It was good getting to know you a little more personally. And by the way, welcome back. How are you doing this week?
Hi, Jill. Thanks to all the audience listeners and watchers for tuning in. I hope to share as much as I can with my 16 years of experience as a body worker, and I just like to spread the information, and hopefully you'll get something from today.
I think we always do. Come on. Tell us how we reach you, by the way, the website.
Yes, my website is spirit-hands.com. You'll find my phone number, my email, it's a plethora of information. So if there's anything the website doesn't answer, don't be shy to hit me up. I love answering questions, concerns. Sometimes people just want to tell their story or see if massage is right for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for being here, for joining us. And I know body posture is super important to you. So you want to kind of recap that a little bit before we continue?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So, number one area of problems and concerns that clients come for massage is they want their back worked on, and most often their shoulders and neck. And more, I'm trying to educate the public that what is happening, what we are experiencing in our neck and shoulders, is actually a domino effect coming up the spine. A lot of our postural problems they originate in our lack of core and foundational structure. So I want a lot of people to be aware of what your abdominals, your pelvic floor are or are not doing, as well as your legs and feet. So let's focus a bit on the legs and feet today.
Or where should they be? Mine are crossed today. Sorry, like I mentioned, I had a double groin hernia surgery. So they actually feel good up today on the chair, but normally I wouldn't sit Indian style in a chair. What is the best way for us to sit when we're sitting in a chair like this?
Well, I like to remind people that a moving body is a happy body. So if you are seated for prolonged periods, the best way to start is, with your pelvis, your ischial tuberosity, your sit bones perfectly level on the seat. You want your legs relaxed. We house so much tension in our thighs just naturally. It's like we have a get up and go culture or something. Feet level on the floor. I don't know why we just hold so much tension all the time, but the longer we sit, we get fidgety. We tend to hook one foot behind a heel, and that's going to cock your leg off to the side, which is going to affect your pelvis and your lumbar. Uh, Sitting Indian style, it just depends on which foot is inward, which foot is outward. Switch it up because, those tiny micro adjustments, which foot is inward, which foot is outward, has, like I said, it supports the femur and the pelvis and the dominoes at the back, these little tiny things that we can be aware of. So on a side note, Miss Jill, can I voluntold you for a demonstration? Can you
At
stand up from your desk?
any time.
Okay. So if you can, I want you to go ahead and stand up from your chair on your feet.
Yep.
Just
Just
stand
reminder, I
comfortably.
just had the surgery, so I'm a little.
It's going to be different and it's going to take time. All right. Oh,
I'm,
she's so brave, ladies and gentlemen. She needs a round of
I'm
applause.
standing up. My stomach is so swollen. Okay, I'm standing up now. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, granted, you're a little compromised right now.
Oh,
So I want,
extremely, like
all
really
right.
bad. Like, see all the
Holy
they
guacamole.
put like four like robotic arms in there. So I'm a little sore, but go ahead. I'm standing. Go ahead.
And plus, when they do abdominal surgery, they got to puff you full of air to get
Exactly.
that
Hence the
that wall.
bloatedness and hence, yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Okay. I'm
all
standing
right.
now.
So go ahead and turn your attention. Tell me, what color is your ceiling?
White.
Does it have popcorn texture or is it tile?
It's smooth, except there's like it looks like a bump in some of the paint, but it's
All right.
smooth.
Do you think I actually care about your ceiling, or is this a distraction?
No, it's a distraction, but I didn't realize that. I'm actually now really dissecting the ceiling. You're
Hold
so funny.
Don't move. I want you to look down if you can see your toes. What are your toes doing?
They're just hanging out. They're just laying
That's a
flat
good
on.
start.
They're just there. Yeah, they're there. The teal nail polish from like 2 months ago still there. They're
Sure.
just.
So,
I'm putting
as
the
a massage,
pressure on my heels and not on my toes. The toes are kind of just light like this.
oh, so you're very back on your heels. All right.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, if you want to go ahead, have a seat, take a load off, bless your heart. Round of applause, ladies and
What
gentlemen.
should we be doing
So,
though? Uh-oh. Yeah, I didn't never thought about that. You said my toes, but they felt so free. They were just hanging. I think well, maybe because I'm like standing more pressure on my heels.
ah, all
What's
right.
normal?
So, creeper alert. A very devoted massage therapist is going to be spying on you from the beginning to the end of the session. No reason to be self-conscious, though. It's for your self-betterment. Um, so I always watch whether you're sitting or just standing casually and talking. Sometimes, like how our toes are pointed, if they're outward or inward, if one is off to the side and the other one's doing something else. Again, the direction of our toes determines like which angle all of our leg bones are pointed and how the ball and socket joint of our hips is kind of tilted.
Okay.
If we stand with one weight on one leg and the other's just chilling, like with our hips cocked for a long period of time or habitually over time, that's going to wreak havoc on your spine. And it's so when we stand, when we sit, it's we call it either you're duck-footed or you're pigeon-toed. So that's something to look for, and you can
Okay.
Google and see. There's so many body workers who flooded to YouTube who can give you pointers and fabulous videos about being duck-footed or pigeon-toed. But um, so when you come to me and you're on the table, another way for me to investigate this is when you're laying on your back or sometimes even on your stomach, how your feet fall when they're relaxed. Some people, they have this really extreme turn so that they're actually laying on their ankle bones.
Okay.
And that is a very extreme torquing of the legs. And that makes me very curious on what I'm going to find in their hips and their low back. And you can replicate this at home if you want to lay on the floor. And kind of the way that I had you distracted by looking up at the ceiling, when you lay on the floor, last episode we talked about belly breaths with one hand on the
Yeah.
breastbone and the other on the belly. And try to get those breaths to come to the diaphragm and relax your neck and shoulders. Let all the tension just go out of your legs. And when you feel that you have relaxed as much as you can relax, I use my hands to lift my head and look down at what my feet are doing to see what angle they have fully relaxed into. If I have a very extreme stretch, or what we really want is our toes to be as straight up, even when we're laying on our back, as straight up towards the ceiling as possible.
Yeah.
And that all you have to do is adjust your glute, your hip bone, and that's going to correct your foot just while you're laying. If you're laying in
Okay.
bed, yeah, be aware because you've got all the padding of the mattress to assist you in correcting that leg posture.
Pigeon toe. I gotta Google these. Yeah, I don't know these terms. I've heard them.
Oh, I mean, but yeah, while I also have you client on the table, not just looking at what position your foot is in, I'm also investigating the texture of the soles of your feet, if there are particularly hard spots, tightness, because I'm going to I want to start to theorize and talk with the client about how you're walking when you're in motion. If, like you kind of said, just standing, you had a lot of weight bearing on your heels. Some people, when they walk, they have a very hard heel strike. And when they roll forward on the step, are we really out on the blade of the foot, or are we kind of turned inward so that we're on the arch or the instep of the foot. Because really, an ideal step is gentle on the heel. It rolls down the center of the foot, and then there's a slight roll, like this pronation motion, as we take the next step. And I like to watch people because, and I want my clients to be aware too, that when you walk, how is your gait? Is one leg taking a short step and the other is a very wide swing so that we have an unlevel gait? Or some people, they've got one foot coming in forward and then they're like the really wide sweep on the instep, like almost like they're dragging the other leg behind.
Mm-hmm.
Just depends on age and the wear and tear on the body, occupations, if you have a tool belt, or if you've had like a compromising surgery or an accident. People really underestimate. I like to know about surgeries, accidents, broken bones. Oh, people will poo-poo and say, "Oh, I broke a toe, but that was so long ago. I only had to tape it and I was fine." Okay, but for that period of healing, your step was compromised. It was just a wee little toe. Or
Yeah.
worse yet, if you break your foot and your ankle and you're in a boot, well, that's going to throw everything off.
Yeah.
You look like you're thinking, "Are you okay over there?"
I had a no, I had a boot on in February. I broke my fifth metacarpal, the right foot bone.
Parcel.
So I'm thinking that moment when I heard the crack and the feeling of being in that boot for a while. So that's why I had a crunchy face. Yes.
Yes, yes, boots, we need them, but they're terrible. A lot of people experience right in the sacral area of the
Yeah.
pelvis and that L5 down below, the quadratus lumborum muscles are really compromised. So there are stretches we can do. You can lay on the floor and do some nice twists. I'm a big fan of laying on the tennis ball or the back balls that you can get on Amazon.
Okay.
BAK, back balls. Great product, but schedule with your massage therapist while you're in the boot, while you're healing, and afterwards to get you back on track. But walking is something that we can't take for granted. It's a very complicated movement. There's a lot of tiny moving parts. I like to analyze. The human body is a big puzzle that I get to dissect. It's like this bioorganic machine. And I want to make sure all the parts are working correctly in correlation. So, how are you standing on your feet? Are you level? How are we walking? Are we symmetrical? Are we asymmetrical? Because that's going to affect the sides of the back.
Yeah.
Like I said, it dominoes up the spine. Um, Let me see. Do you have any questions or concerns? I've been rambling a lot.
No, I'm just curious. You mentioned like massage therapy. So say someone's coming out of a boot, right? You had a break. When are you allowed to start massaging an area that had the trauma? Like when is it best to wait, for example? Like,
Yeah, I always defer to the doctor who's treating.
okay.
And yeah, always ask them if you've got massage on the mind, ask specifically, and they'll tell you whether you should just start with a gentle massage or when you are good and ready for more in-depth poking and prodding and palpation. So depending on the severity of the break, sometimes we have rods and pins, hardware if it's a very invasive surgery to correct. Sometimes people need tendons and muscles reattached. And so definitely check with your treating physician.
Okay, interesting. And then, it's funny because I also was dealing with physical therapy on my arm pain. Now all of a sudden I have the stomach pain. Arm pain went away. Is that normal? Or I'm not using that muscle now because yeah.
Okay, so there's this phenomenon called the pain gateway. The brain can only process so much stimuli at any given time.
Oh, I feel like $1 million. My arm is great.
And that might very well be the case. Yeah, but the best way to forget your problems is to listen to somebody else's. And the body does that too. To forget one minor or lesser secondary pain is to focus on a new primary one. Um, so I get that on the table. People will say, "Well, gosh, now that my shoulders feel great, I my hips are screaming." Yeah, because now that we've alleviated the pain, your brain is now processing another area that needs help. It's that pain gateway.
Yeah, interesting. I like that.
Or or the inflammation's gone down and you've done such a great job.
Well, I like to think that I'm not, because I'm mobile, but I'm not super mobile. I'm not doing everything. I'm not doing heavy lifting. I'm not using my arm as much. I'm not, I took the boys to sports and everything yesterday too, but I'm not holding their bags. I'm not extra cautious because I'm in pain in my stomach. I'm not allowed to. So it's
Yep.
interesting. I guess I really could limit the usage, but you overwork sometimes and you don't realize that. So I feel like $1,000,000, my arm. Yes.
Yeah, you've given it a lot of rest and recovery time. That's awesome on your part, noticing our limitations. Kudos to you. No, I've been encouraging people to go easy on ourselves. We push
Yeah.
ourselves so hard, and we shouldn't have to, especially once we've sustained an injury. The body's going to remember that the structural integrity has been compromised, and that area is prone to re-injury down the road, or even arthritis and degenerative conditions. So it's not that you're, or anyone in particular, hypothetically, it's not that we're being a baby, it's that we're honoring the one and only body that we have as a gift from God and taking care of ourselves so that we can continue to take care of other people.
Yeah, it's so true. And now, someone like you, what about you overusing your hands? Your craft is your hands. Do you need massage therapy to how do your hands stay healthy? Because you're using certain muscles time and time again. Are you ever in pain? Are you ever suffering from,
That's awesome. The only time I actually feel pain is when I'm misusing my body or trying to produce an artificial strength, when I'm trying to force a client to relax or to submit the muscles, which is contrary, it's counterproductive. So when I'm my hands specifically, you ask about, my
uh-huh,
number one priority is limberness,
okay,
mobility, flexibility. And as I'm working now in other sessions, I have alluded to the entire body. Every system in the body has a rhythmic pulse, and I want to be able to tap into that. And I'm actually using my hands. I'm like flexing and relaxing my hands as I'm working with the client because I want to cue into that rhythm
yeah,
and work with it, not against it. So I'm taking my time doing like tiny contractions and relaxations. So I don't so much need strong, grippy hands, which rock climbing, by the way, or martial arts is a great way to facilitate, build up that strength. But mostly it's about having soft, loose hands that are resilient in transferring my body weight.
yeah.
That's actually my core strength, is where my pressure and massage strength comes from, my body, not my hands.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, I guess you got to learn how to use someone like me overuses my hands, not thinking, the way to lift, the way to hold things. I really should be pulling from like bending down my arms. I should be using more my leg muscles, right? My back muscles. But okay, interesting. Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, bending down. Not such a fan of bending down as much as squatting, squatting and lifting, because that straight spine, if we can keep that. Um, yeah, bending is good if you're stretching and testing your flexibility.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just depends on what one's lot is in life. Their habitual, particularly job movements, scare me. Mechanics, FedEx workers, factory workers, when you're on the line, there's a lot of like one way repetitive
Yeah.
motion. And the factory doesn't allow you to switch up to the other side because, production line only goes one way. No bueno.
Interesting. No bueno. I love it. It's true. And didn't you also want to touch upon seasonal PSAs? It's that
Yes.
time. Look, I just took my son to football last night. He's 8, right? But you sit in the bleachers, you sit on the field. It's uncomfortable. I can't lug the chair right now. So, I mean, give us some advice on that because how is our posture? I mean, we're out there watching our kids play sports and not really sitting properly, I would say. And then also you got allergies too.
Yes. Yep. A public service announcement. So I you said when you go to your son's games, you can't lug the chair. What chair, can I ask?
Oh yeah, well, it's because of my surgery this week, but I usually do. It's one from BJ's. It's nothing fancy. It's just like fabric. You put the strap on, you put it together, and it's like honestly, it's not. It's like a mesh. You sit. It's kind of like bent down. It has a little top that goes up, and has a little cup holder, but it's not
Oh,
nothing sturdy. But I got it from like BJ's a long time ago. But it's is it good on posture? No, it's just a fabric like meshy type thing. But I think
well, it's also sparing your derriere from those hard aluminum
I hate
stadium
them.
seats.
Yeah, I hate them.
Yeah,
I prefer to sit on the turf or the grass, but if it's wet, you can't. And then at the same time, then my posture goes like this.
you start, yeah, hunching forward,
Yeah.
definitely. So, yeah, while like right now, your lifting capacity is very limited, put your boys to work before they go out on the game,
Yeah.
or get a nice friendly passerby. Hey, can you bring this with me?
No, definitely.
Because yeah, those padded stadium seats, or sometimes like you see gardeners, they put down these little foamy mats for their knees.
Yeah.
Anything you can do, a padding or a buffer between your derriere and those benches, because those are the worst. And people are sitting for hours and cheering, and then yeah, they start to stoop, or they lean, or they put their feet up on the bench in front of them. So if I mean, I really want people to have padding and stadium seats,
Of course.
cushions, but yeah, get up and move around, make an excuse to hit the bathrooms or the concession stand, do some stretches. Let me think here. There's a in Kung Fu, it's called the poke stance, where you put your heel out and then you kind of squat to stretch out your
Okay.
hamstrings. Informally, I call it, ooh, look at my nail polish.
How's your
Uh,
nail polish look? Is it good? Is it good? Mine's
yeah,
horrible.
yeah,
Let me
you just put
see.
your heel up. Oh, well, it's an expression because I got shoes on.
I thought you were looking, because I was really looking at my toes before, and I'm like, look, my nails have not been done in like 2.5 months. See? Yeah, so they're
I'm not
just
even.
growing out. I can't,
I'm
yeah.
not allowed to have nails, so quit bragging.
Tell me. You got to keep them
I'm not
short.
allowed.
I never thought about
Got to
that.
keep them short. Yeah, they're dangerous. They can snag, and I can't do trigger point therapy if there's a thumbnail in the way.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, stretches. Stretch out your hamstrings. Do a side lunge. Get that ball and socket joint of your hip to open up. Um, bring your foot up from behind to do a nice quad stretch, even though we're sitting and not really engaging the quads. It's nice to get all of your leg muscles loosey goosey if we can. Allergies. Okay, let's cover allergies real fast. Because yeah, people can't breathe. Breathing's kind of important. I've been saying that for every episode. We need to be able to breathe. So when allergy season comes around and our sinuses, it's not so much that there's anything to purge, it's just everything's all the tissue and mucus just swells up and
Hmm.
plugs up. I'd like for people to consider getting a facial massage specifically for sinuses. And it's even better if you have a massage therapist who's familiar or hopefully trained in lymphatic drainage. So we can hit certain points and get that lymph to flow away and alleviate some of that pressure. Um, Tricky business about getting massage. And I'm curious because Miss Jill, you just had a couple of hot stones recently. So if I can ask, do you remember when you're face down, do you ever plug up and have a hard time breathing on the
Yeah,
massage?
it's funny you said that. I do. And then actually just this morning I did a nasal rinse because with after the surgery I'm just congested and it hurts to cough or to try to push mucus out or blow my nose. I just did a
Yeah.
nasal rinse this morning and I was in the with the saline on like this trying to get it out because to blow my nose right
Mhm.
now hurts so bad. It hurts the
Yeah.
stomach. So yeah, it does clog up.
Heaven forbid you should have to sneeze.
That's the no one told me. The worst part about any type of surgery where they're cutting your stomach, it's
Uh-huh.
coughing and sneezing. The pain
And
is there,
laughing.
but yes, that's not on the paperwork. That's not. My friend's doctor talked to. Her, she's like, yeah, like, that should be the first thing the doctor tells you. Just letting you know you're gonna have pain. Pain medicine can help you, but coughing's gonna really hurt you. And it's like, oh, or sneezing.
Or yeah, specifically abdominal surgeries is passing bowel movements when we
Yeah.
have to, because you got to be able to, engage the pelvic floor and the core muscles.
I
So
haven't
prune
done
juice
that
better be our
in
friend.
8 days, let alone I'm taking stool softeners, but I'm not even eating much because I'm in pain. So it may be like 2 weeks, but whatever. I'm not looking forward to that either. I'm just,
Prune juice. What is it? Metamucil,
yeah,
Miralax. I don't
they
know.
gave me Miralax and then prescription stool softeners, but nothing's happened yet. But whatever, we'll see.
High fiber oatmeal. Yeah, just kind of brand foods, nuts. You can't not pass, and right now it's kind of scary. But for those times, if yeah, allergies coming in for a massage or just massage
Yep.
in general, and you're face down and we plug up,
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to avoid. So I try to get the shoulders and neck first. So
Yep.
by the time people start to plug up, I'm already down on the low back. And me personally, when I'm getting massage, I in the face cradle, I turn my face off to the side just so I
Yeah,
can
you
get
have to
some
sometimes.
air.
Good.
Yeah. But I also want people to consider investing in a little box of what are they called? Breathe right strips for snoring. It goes
Yeah.
across your nose. Some people report that that actually does help while they're
Awesome.
face down. And when you roll over, you take it off and you're good to go. You can breathe.
Thanks for the
So,
reminder. All right, Christina, we have to wrap up for today. Remind us, Miss Christina Bell, how we contact you.
yes. Spirit-hands.com.
Perfect. And pleasure speaking with you again and looking forward to our next conversation. Always a pleasure. Did you say next week is our last show?
Afraid
I
so,
thought it was
madam.
today the way you wrote it. Okay, well, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. We will reconnect again, obviously, but thank you for all the information and insight, and we'll talk next week.
Yes, always more. I'm
Feel good?
not even done with today, but thanks.
All right. Good luck with your day. Thanks so much. Bye bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.